big day for Ashland, big day for our Superfund program. And as we're thinking about this beautiful piece of land we're on now, I always like to think about, no matter where I am in New England, and I travel all over New England as the regional administrator, the 6 New England states is our purview, and the 10 federally recognized tribes. I always remember that where we're standing is on land that's been lived in and stewarded for generation upon generation of the native tribes who lived here, who still live here, who still steward, and we can only aspire to steward these lands and waters and air in the same way that they did. What a great event today. I first want to acknowledge a bunch of folks, and then I'll give a couple of words and then invite people to speak up. But thank you so much, Congressman Jim McGovern, who has been such a huge champion of the Superfund program, of environmental protection. He gets that environmental protection and economic development go hand in hand. So it's great to have you here today. Also from our congressional delegation, we have Liam Horseman representing Senator Markey. Hello, Liam. And we have Allison Huntoon representing Senator Warren. It's great to have you here today. Standing to my right is the brand new Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection Commissioner Bonnie Heiple. So great to have Bonnie here today. And Jennifer McWeeny and David Buckley from DEP are here as well. Great to see you here. Such great partners that we have in our state Department of Environmental Protection. Ashland Town Manager Michael Herbert is here as well. Thank you, Michael, for all that you do to lead this town in the way that we're moving. And I also want to commend who's here, the Ashland Citizens Action Committee and private citizens such as Mary Kane. Thank you, Marie, for your stalwart support and advocating for public health studies and for the cleanup of this site. So thank you so much for all the work that you've done. I want to give an extra round of applause. We may be public servants up here, but it's the public and their activities and their pushing that makes these changes happen. So thank you so much. So we're here to celebrate new funding. Oh my goodness. Senate President Karen Spilka, thank you so much. I worked with the Senate President before she was Senate President, and I was the Mass DEP Commissioner and had some other positions, also a phenomenal partner within the legislature, and thank you so much for your leadership.
One other thing, the Ashland Select Board is here as well.
Wonderful.
The elected representatives of this community.
Excellent. Ashland Select Board, can you raise your hand if you're a member? Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate that. Absolutely. So we're celebrating today the work that Congressman McGovern and Senators Warren and Markey.
They're excited.
They are. Our events team is amazing. They plan these. Perfect job, guys. By the way, the EPA staff who's here have done an excellent job, not just on the advanced planning, but working at this site. Lisa Thuat is here. Thank you, Lisa. Daniel LaFrance. Our community involvement coordinators, Zanetta Purnell and Kelsey Dunville. I don't think they're here, but Joanne Cottrell and Sakanya Alaraji are here from our advanced team. And Doug Gutrow, who's our director of congressional efforts, of public outreach, of everything. What's so great that he's here, he told me on the way out here that he started his job at EPA in the late 80s and was the community involvement coordinator for this site. So what goes around comes around, Doug. Thank you. So we're celebrating additional funding today for Superfund sites. In February this year, EPA announced a second wave of approximately $1 billion of funding in President Biden's and Congress's Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. And that's going to start cleanup projects at 22 Superfund sites that have been waiting for this kind of influx of funds. There are thousands of these contaminated sites all over the country, abandoned, uncontrolled, hazardous waste having been dumped there, left in the open, and otherwise improperly managed that we're dealing with now. And Superfund cleanups, they transform these properties, creating jobs in overburdened communities, repurposing these sites to be reused, and allows them to be used for businesses, residences, warehouses, and in this particular case, to be repurposed for solar power generation. What better message is there to return a contaminated site like this into something that's producing clean energy? It's phenomenal. And we're really excited that 3 of those 22 sites are in Massachusetts, in which the funding is coming this year for continued work, and Nyanza is one of those. So we're incredibly excited about what's going on here, very excited and appreciative for the work that Congress has done. And with that, let me call up here Congressman Jim McGovern.
Thanks. Well, first of all, let me thank our Regional Administrator David Cash and the entire team at EPA Region 1. They have been incredible to work with, and we are grateful that they're here today for this announcement. I want to acknowledge DEP Commissioner Bonnie Heiple, our Ashland Town Manager Mike Herbert, and the members of the Select Board here. Thank you. I mean, Ashland's back in my district, and so when I came back for our meeting, the first thing that we talked about was this. And I want to thank my friend and my colleague and someone I admire so much, our Senate President Karen Spilka. She is amazing, and I appreciate all of her advocacy on behalf of this community. I also want to acknowledge Marie Kane and the Citizens Group for all of your focus on this. Believe me, if you weren't determined, we probably would not be here today. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So this group represents a collaboration of so many people who have been dedicated to making this site a vibrant part of the community again. Local, state, and federal actors, as well as our local citizens, have been coming together for 40 years to address the challenge at this site. And the reason we're here is simple. Everyone deserves to live in a community with clean air, clean water, and a healthy environment. And too often in America, communities have had to fend for themselves when it comes to dealing with the messes that polluters make. Congress developed the Superfund program in 1980 to help communities address sites like Nyanza, but quite frankly, sometimes that program has been too gradual or piecemeal. Too many communities are still reeling from the impacts of pollution. But thanks to the leadership of President Biden, and thanks to Congress acting in a bipartisan way, and I want to thank Senator Markey and Senator Warren for what they did in the Senate as well, we are turning the page. And this announcement of funds to expedite cleanup at Nyanza is a direct result of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. The Bipartisan Infrastructure Law is historic. That's no exaggeration. When President Biden signed it in 2021, we began the largest investment in our communities that we have seen in generations. We're seeing $1.2 trillion in total spending go to our long-neglected physical infrastructure. There's upwards of $12 billion on the table for Massachusetts alone. And Nyanza's funding is part of a $3.5 billion that EPA can now use for high-priority sites like these. So instead of just talking about investments in our community or about how we need to clean up these dirty sites, under President Biden's leadership, we're finally doing it. And so investments in our environment, like EPA's work here, are about more than just cleanup itself. By restoring healthy air, water, and soil, Superfund enables communities to undergo transformations. So instead of accepting that an area is too dirty to reclaim or too far from completion, this infusion empowers communities to envision a new future. We will no longer have to simply accept that past pollution has to dominate the present. So I look forward to continuing to work with our partners at every level to see this project through. This is an exciting time for people who believe that we can still do big things together. And again, I want to especially thank the citizens of this community for never giving up and being persistent. And it's because of you we are here today. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Congressman. And of course, he had mentioned the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, a huge lift by Congress. And I just want to note that, of course, as he said, Senator Markey and Senator Warren were leaders in that as well. So let me call up Leon Horstman, who will speak on behalf of Senator Markey.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry the Senator could not be here himself personally, but I'm happy to deliver a statement here on his behalf. Good morning, everyone. I wish I could be with you all on this exciting day. My deep thanks to Congressman McGovern, Senate President Spilka, Administrator Cash, Commissioner Heiple, Town Manager Herbert, the Ashland Select Board, and of course the activists without whom none of this would be possible. Thank you. And of course my great partner in the Senate, Elizabeth Warren. Congratulations to everyone for the fantastic work they have done for decades to clean up this site in Ashland. It is because we kept up this fight that we will clean up this site. When Congress passed the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law in 2021, we delivered $1 billion in funding to ensure the EPA has the resources it needs to finish once and for all 22 Superfund sites across the country, including Nyanza. Together, we will deliver safe groundwater in Ashland. The Environmental Protection Agency's Superfund program gives communities a new lease on dirty sites. It cleans up decades of abuse that our lands have experienced at the hands of corporations. Here in Massachusetts, we know that cleaning up Superfund sites is a win-win. These projects create jobs and spur economic activity while revitalizing polluted neighborhoods. Thank you again to the EPA and Mass DEP for your efforts. Your continued remediation and your commitment to the people of Metro West are inspiring. I look forward to continuing the fight to deliver investments for Ashland and across Massachusetts. Thank you.
Thank you, Liam. And representing Senator Warren is Allison Huntoon. Allison?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here with you today. And thank you so much to Congressman McGovern, Senate President Spilka, Administrator Cash, Town Manager Herbert, Commissioner Heiple, and of course the Select Board. So thank you, everyone. I have a statement from Senator Elizabeth Warren. Good morning. I wish that I could be in Ashland with all of you today to celebrate this federal investment to clean up the Nyanza site. Thanks to the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, we are making one of the largest investments in American history to help fight pollution, which harms the public health of our communities and neighborhoods. And we're on track to help expedite the cleanup of Superfund sites across Massachusetts. For years, I have been fighting for the critical investments that we need to get hazardous chemicals out of our environment. And we are seeing the significant impacts of the EPA's Superfund program at work across the Commonwealth. From the New Bedford Harbor to the South Weymouth Naval Air Station, and now at Nyanza, the Superfund program really makes a difference for Massachusetts residents. As we work toward a safer, cleaner environment for all, projects like this one are essential to the health and vitality of our communities, and I will keep fighting for them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Of course, as a federal agency, EPA has close relationships with our congressional delegation, but we also have relationships with our leaders in state legislatures who, of course, know so much more about how the state functions, municipality functions, working with their own state environmental agencies. And it's a pleasure to partner with Senate President Karen Spilka. She's been a champion over the years of, again, connecting environmental protection and economic development, protecting communities, and seeking the opportunities with the federal government to really push all of our agendas. So, Senator President Spilka.
Thank you so much, Administrator. This is a bittersweet day in a way because of what Nyanza has symbolized for Ashland. But I do want to start out by thanking Congressman McGovern for being here, for fighting for Ashland, for having you back. It's great to have you back. And to thank our Senators Markey and Warren for also. We have a terrific team in Congress between our representative, our senators, to fight for Ashland, to be responsive and deliver results, and this is a great example of that. So thank you so much. And we want to thank EPA for you and your team because this could not be happening without it either. And Commissioner Heiple, it's great to have you out here. Hope you're out here a lot. You know, we look forward to it. And Town Manager Herbert, Select Board members, other officials. But again, it boils down to the citizens of Ashland, Marie Kane, your family, Dan, for what you've done to help highlight and make sure that this Nyanza stays not only in our community, but in our memories and thoughts. And I do want to remember those that we have lost because of Nyanza as well. That is important. You've heard all about the Superfund site and how it started. Superfund, I mean, it started in 1980. Ashland was among the original sites to join and be a part of the Superfund. On the other hand, it's been a while. We've gotten millions of dollars. The cleanup has been over so many years, so many decades. So this is really welcome to continue that, to make sure that the site at Ashland, the waters, the soil, the air is as safe as possible. We welcome the dollars to help keep that going. We're proud and happy that the other sites in Massachusetts are getting the attention, and across the country too, because it's so important. And I thank the Biden administration, in addition to Congress, to recognizing that everybody deserves to live in an area, to live in a neighborhood, a community that has safe water, air, soil, and to make sure that it's as safe as possible. I do want to also highlight, we moved to Ashland in 1985, soon after the Nyanza site, became one of the Superfund. Aside from town meeting, the next few meetings that I really went to a lot were about Nyanza and pushing to get this cleaned up. The sense of community that Ashland has, that the Nyanza site has brought to having people join together. When you hear the word community, people caring about each other, fighting for each other, bonding together, this has played a very large role in the sense of community of what Ashland has become and what Ashland is and why it is such a terrific community to live, raise a family, work, and be. So, this though helps us along the way to remedy, to heal. And so we really I want to thank everybody who's here. Again, it's bittersweet, but I welcome the money. I hope it's not the end of it. And let's keep going. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Senate President, and I really appreciate the acknowledgement of the bittersweet nature of this. Yeah, we can celebrate, and there's been lots of changes, and we see a beautiful pond behind us, partly because it's been cleaned up, but there's been loss as well, and so really appreciate acknowledging that even as we celebrate. Next, I want to call up the new Mass DEP Commissioner Bonnie Heiple. I am so excited about today's event because this is her first event as a DEP Commissioner, and what a wonderful event to participate in, where you're celebrating the incredible work that your staff does in collaboration with EPA, in collaboration with the town and the Select Board and our state and federal delegation. I know from being a former DEP Commissioner, not an easy job, challenges, conflict, etc. And every once in a while you get to step back and be in the communities whose lives you touch by the work that you do. And so it's wonderful to have you here today on your inaugural event. So Commissioner Heiple.
Good morning, everyone. When David asked me if this was my first event, I said, well, last week, week 2, I got to testify before a legislative committee about the budget. I said, that doesn't count. Indeed, this is much, much better. Although I am new to DEP, I'm not new to Superfund. I was an environmental and energy attorney for 15 years. So I've been to many Superfund sites. Early in my career, we had put one of the first solar arrays on a Superfund site in New England. And I remember someone messaging me during an event sort of like this one, you have a much nicer backdrop, and saying, apparently this person had a vision of us cutting a red ribbon at this site and had not actually shared that vision with anyone. So the message was, where are the giant scissors? And I'm especially glad to be here, not being the person who didn't think to bring the giant scissors. So I do bring greetings from Governor Healy, the Lieutenant Governor, Secretary Tepper, who joined me in saying how proud we are to partner with all of you and to have partnered with EPA on this site. We're very proud of DEP's role in helping along Nyanza over the various phases. I know it's been a long time coming of cleanup, remediation, and now turning this site into something that's productive for the community. DEP has played a part in assessment, cleanup, maintenance, and we continue to play that part going forward here at the site. Since 1992, I'm told, so it's been quite a while, DEP have conducted regular inspections, performed operation and maintenance, monitored groundwater. I'm also really proud to say that DEP was heavily involved in the efforts back in 2018 and 2019 to allow the construction and operation of the solar facility here at the landfill. In my mind and in the agency's mind, and I know the Healy administration, that type of reuse of these sites for productive purpose that gives the opportunity for the community to really enjoy some of the benefit of being associated with a site like this is really important and really something that we're focusing on. Of course, we're here today to celebrate the tremendous additional federal funding to address groundwater contamination from the site. It really is heartening to know. We all heard a lot about the bipartisan bill, what that would mean, but seeing that money start to flow out to communities and be put to use really makes that worthwhile and meaningful. So we're happy to be here to celebrate that today. A number of DEP staffers have worked on the Nyanza site over the years, but I'd like to call out Jennifer McWeeny, who's the project site manager, Diane Baxter, who leads our federal program, and David Buckley, who couldn't be here today, for all of your important work. So thank you. I'll just close by saying we really enjoy, and I've enjoyed already in my couple of weeks, but also when I was on the private side, DEP and EPA here in New England have a really special relationship. Having worked across the United States, that is not the case everywhere. So we are really happy to partner with you for over 30 years on this site and to work together to protect the public with the efforts of the citizens group from the toxic legacies of our past and really look forward and turn this into something productive for all of you. So thank you for all of your work. Thank all of you and appreciate the welcome here today.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Heiple. You know, as a federal agency, we really understand that impacts and solutions happen on the ground. We assist in cleaning up groundwater in people's communities, in municipalities. And we never lose touch of that. And it's not easy as a federal agency, and we really value the partnership and relationships that we have with the community members, with municipalities. So I want to call up Ashland Town Manager Michael Herbert and also acknowledge the Select Board because, and of course the community activists, because you're the public. When I think of us as public servants, you're the public that we're serving and trying to do our best to serve. And so Michael Herbert.
Thank you, everybody, and good morning. Thank you, Administrator Cash. I appreciate that. Obviously, we're here today to celebrate this important milestone in the cleanup of the Nyanza Superfund Site. On behalf of the town of Ashland, I want to thank the Biden administration, Congressman McGovern, Senators Markey and Warren, EPA Regional Administrator David Cash, Senate President Karen Spilka, DEP Commissioner Heiple, our Ashland Select Board, and we actually have members of our local Board of Health here for coming here today and developing this partnership to move forward this necessary funding for the cleanup of the Nyanza site. For those who are not aware, Nyanza site was once home to a chemical manufacturing plant that operated from the early 1900s until the 1970s. During this time, the plant discharged toxic waste into the surrounding environment, including the Sudbury River and nearby wetlands. This contamination has had a devastating impact on the local ecosystem and the health of Ashland and the surrounding communities. It goes to that bittersweet comment you made. But there is hope. In recent years, a very complex and concerted effort has been made to clean up the Nyanza site and remediate the damage caused by those decades of pollution. This has been a collaborative effort between the Environmental Protection Agency, the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, and the town of Ashland. The cleanup has involved a range of measures, including the removal of a contaminated soil, sediment, and groundwater, as well as the construction of a new wetland area to help restore the natural ecosystem. The cleanup also involved the removal of buildings and structures on the site which had been contaminated with hazardous waste. Today, most of the Nyanza site has undergone a remarkable transformation, because what once was a polluted wetland polluted wasteland, I should say, is now a thriving wetland resource area, home to a diverse range of plant and animal species. As has been mentioned before, the CAP has been repurposed as a solar energy facility, providing clean power to the region. And this has been made possible by the hard work and dedication of the many people, I should say, involved in the cleanup effort. But the Nyanza cleanup is about more than just restoring the natural environment. It is also about protecting the health and the well-being of our local community. The pollution of the Nyanza site has had a significant impact on the health of those living in the surrounding areas, with increased rates of cancer, birth defects, and other health issues. The scars from Nyanza still run deep. By cleaning up the Nyanza site, we are not only remediating past mistakes, but we are also creating a safer, healthier future for the people of Ashland and beyond. We owe it to ourselves and to future generations to take responsibility to the damage that we have caused to the environment, and more importantly, to take action to mitigate that damage. As has been mentioned before, the Nyanza cleanup is also a testament to the power of collaboration and collective action. It has required the cooperation and coordination of multiple government agencies, past and present, as well as the support and involvement of the local community. To that end, I want to specifically acknowledge the work by Marie and the late Bernie Kane, as well as the Ashland Citizens Action Committee. In addition to Marie, we have Dan, Michelle, and Kara here representing the ACAC and their work. Marie and Bernie's, yes, thank you. Marie and Bernie's son Kevin, through sheer persistence and determination, revealed the link between Nyanza and cancer rates in the area before his passing. And through his efforts and through his leadership, by working together, we have been able to achieve something truly remarkable and make a positive impact on the world around us. So in conclusion, the Nyanza cleanup is a shining example of what can be achieved when people come together for a common goal. It is a reminder of the importance of taking responsibility for our actions and doing what we can to protect the environment and the health of our communities. I commend and thank all of those involved in the cleanup effort, and I urge everyone to continue supporting this important work. Together we can make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Not surprisingly, your words captured what's happening on the ground much better than any of us others up here could have done. So thank you very much. With that, we're ending the formal part of this. We're happy to take some questions from the press, and then we'll wrap up if there are any.
What's the timeline for the remaining work to clean up the groundwater?
Yeah, I'm going to, our Superfund director is here. He'll have a better sense of that. Brian, do you want to respond to that? Yeah, come on up.
With all of this, it takes some time to, once we get the money, to actually design different parts of the remedy and everything, but we're talking within the next year or two, things will be happening. So that's our expectation, and again, we'll be working with everyone here along the way so that everyone sees what's happening, sees all the reports and things that will go into that design.
Anything else?
What are the areas that it'll actually take place, the cleanup?
Yeah, Brian, you should just stay up here, I think.
We should. I'd rather have our project manager.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, great. Lisa?
She's the real expert.
And just introduce yourself when you come up.
Hi, good morning. Lisa Thiwad. I'm the remedial project manager for the Nyanza Superfund Site. Any
So the question was,
Yeah.
what is the area where the work is actually going to be done?
So the work is going to be concentrated in the vicinity of what was once the former Nyanza industrial site. We'll be looking for additional sources of this contamination called dense non-aqueous phase liquid, which has been kind of unfortunately feeding the groundwater contamination. So we're trying to, with some new drilling technologies and some newer advancements in treatment and exploration, we're trying to see if we cannot find some additional sources that will eventually help contribute to the groundwater levels and the concentrations of the volatile compounds to be reduced in the groundwater. So we're getting excited to get that underway. I want to thank too the private landowners that have really been very cooperative with all our investigations efforts and allowing us to sample monitoring wells, to do drilling on their properties. In particular, the Nyakal property, they've been very cooperative, and the owner, Robert Gaynor, Worcester Air Conditioning, that property is owned by a woman named Tony Hanna, and she's also been very, very cooperative in allowing us to do work on the Worcester Air property. So that's kind of going to be where it's going to be concentrated, around the landfill and around the industrial properties that abut the active rail tracks. So I would just again like to thank these private landowners, including residential owners who have really helped in this effort. Without their willingness to access their properties and to do work around their operations, like, we probably wouldn't be here today. So I would just like to give a shout out to those folks. Well, we really have already started it, so we've already done a lot of preliminary work in the area. We've done vegetation clearing, we're lining up drillers to do more of the investigations, and we're working on procuring contractors to implement the remedial action. So we have a lot of work underway, and we're actually probably going to get started on some of the drilling efforts in May. Yep, so quickly. Yeah, thanks. Yep.
Add one thing that cuts across all these sites, and it gets to the community and the town being involved and everything. We've been involved in this site, as you all know, for a really, really long time. And at the time we first started, we did a lot of work, did a lot of remediation. But as time goes on, we do these reviews every 5 years, which are really important. You hold our feet to the fire. There are new technologies now that exist that we couldn't even think of 20, 30 years ago that are working now. So I think, this is a good lesson that we should never give up on these sites. This is really important. And I want to thank the community for, again, holding our feet to the fire, and then also the congressionals who get us the funding to continue to come back to a site like Nyanza. We don't want to walk away from these sites because there's always going to be ways to clean up more and more as time goes on. So.
Excellent, everybody. If we could thank our elected and executive folks here, but mostly citizen activists who have holding our feet to the fire. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, everybody.